Welcome back to Bull Sessions here on 680 KFEQ. Here's your hosts, Randy Baker and agronomist Brad Law.
Okay, quick break is over. We're back to Bull Sessions. Thank all of you for listening. We're talking with Ray Massey today, MU Professor of Economics.
Yes, does lots of extension work.
All extension work. But we're going to talk more with Ray here in a minute. But first, this is our time where we do Our Lady in Ag.
All right.
Okay, this week, Our Lady in Ag is Megan Law.
I think I know her.
City, Missouri. I'm not talking to you, Bradley.
Nepotism.
Yep.
I really cannot say
Somebody's
enough.
been talking to my wife behind my back.
I'm trying to do Lady in Ag. Now,
Okay,
you
shut up.
Be still and sit over there. Miles, cut his mic. Again, my Lady in Ag
I'll come over here and
is Megan Law. And I really cannot say enough good about Megan. She's one of my most favorite people. She leads a very busy working life. Full-time, she's a speech pathologist at the St. Joseph School District. She's also raising 3 small boys and 1 large one.
yes.
Gentry, who is 6 years old. Porter is 3, and a brand new baby, little Sawyer. And again, you figured this out because Bradley blew my surprise. This was kind of behind his back, but
Yeah.
this woman puts up with a lot.
Mm-hmm.
These law outlaws raise butcher calves, vegetable gardening, which they're going to be selling this spring and summer and fall.
Yep.
Under that watchful eye of Megan, because she makes them all step up, pay attention. You've got the high tunnel deal, which we'll talk about that another time. She deals a lot with 3 young boys and 1 big one, and does it magnificently. I've never seen anybody put up with so much with a smile on her face at all times. God bless Megan and the Law Gang for all you do. You are truly an inspiration and an example of what it is to be a virtuous wife and mother.
Oh.
Thank you, Megan. We love you.
Yes, I love you very much, baby, and thank you for pulling me out every time I've been stuck with the tractor, with the bobcat, with the pickup, with the big truck. I think she even pulled me out when I got the combine stuck. So.
Yeah. She's the glue that keeps all of
Yes.
you outlaws
And
together.
she even knows when I leave the house that I'm going to get stuck, and knows when I'm going to call her that he's stuck again, isn't he? So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. He's destructive and, yeah.
Let's
all
go
of
on
that.
to something positive, like this
Ray Massey's positive.
positive stuff.
Ray, are you still with us or did you run off?
I'm still there.
All right. I wouldn't blame you if you run off. Brad kind of gets us all wound up sometimes.
Oh,
I just want to know how Brad can get stuck when I haven't had rain here in Boone County for 2 months.
Ray, Brad can do it.
well, have you ever drove a skid loader out into a pond?
No,
Prefer
normal.
not to.
Well, things like that can happen. And you think, man, that pond's silted in and that water level's down. I can just go in there and scoop some of that stuff out. You can get stuck. I got stuck in 2012 in the pond in like August. So it happens. It can happen. You just got to.
Only to you, Bradley.
Well, if you work hard enough, I'm sure you can achieve it.
Oh, come on. Ray, I don't know what to say about him, but let's move on to something that is intelligent. And we touched on price discovery. Can you explain a little bit about that to us, please?
Yeah, about 10 years ago, the RMA used to come up, the Risk Management Agency of the USDA, used to come up with prices that they would say, here's what we're going to pay you if you have an indemnity on your corn or your soybeans.
Right.
Then they changed it, and now what they do is every day that the market is open in the month of February, they look at the December corn futures price or the October or the November soybean futures price.
Mm-hmm.
And so they just record it down. What was the futures price on that day? Take the average of it, and on March 1st they report that average. And like you said, for corn it was $3.96 a bushel, and for soybeans it was $10.19 a bushel. That's just the average of the February or average of the December or November futures contract during the month of February.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now this all sets up like, if you have a certain APH, which is your average production history, your yield, your average yield, and then you have the price, that's how you get your dollars that you can insure. Pretty simple, and you can do a percentage of that. Well,
That's correct.
What is this fall price option?
Okay, the fall price option is if you take revenue protection, what they're going to do is they're going to look at what was the average December for futures contract for corn, November futures contract for soybeans during the month of October. So just like they took the average for the month of February, now they're going to take the average for the month of October. And if the futures price went up from the February report to the October report, you actually get a higher level of guaranteed revenue. If the price went down, they stick with the higher one, which is the spring, the February report.
Well, and I was just thinking about 2012. I didn't have crop insurance in 2012, but a lot of interesting thing happened. The fall price was higher than the spring price, and then people's production was down, so then it created just a huge crop insurance payment.
You're exactly right.
So
because if they had revenue protection, they got that fall price.
Well, and yeah, Randy did. I was a poor soul without it, but we looked at like 2015. Well, it kind of backfired on them then because we were thinking, well, man, if we take Prevent Plant in Northwest Missouri, which it was raining every day in June and May, and if everybody else gets their crop in out in the I states that actually matter when it comes to setting the board price, we were going to have a lower fall price than what the spring price was. So it was getting to the point where Prevent Plant was going to be the most profitable thing to do in 2015. And several people cashed in on that.
Well, I know of several people that cashed in on the Prevent Plant, but none of them were bold or happy with it because it only pays 60% of what your guarantee was.
Well,
so, I mean, they did it. It was the best that they could get, but nobody bragged about it that I know of, anyway.
Oh, I'm an odd one. I was happy with it, but
you were happy with it.
Yes.
Okay.
If you have a good APH and you had 85% coverage, it tweaked it. And that's what makes everything so different when you cross a fence line. When you look at somebody with a 40 bushel APH versus a 35 bushel APH, that's a huge deal. And if you went from 80% coverage down to 70% coverage, you just changed that whole formula huge.
Right.
But the thing about prevent planting that I think you're somewhat alluding to is if you take prevented planting, you're going to keep your APH at whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you planted late and you decrease that yield by 10 bushels to the acre on your soybeans because you're late planting and whatnot, your APH is going to go down the next year.
Mm-hmm.
So there's these long-term considerations that you need to have as you're doing your crop insurance.
Well, and they did change. I got a little paperwork I picked up at from a crop insurance agent that said that the Prevent Plant on corn coverages have changed from 60% of your production guarantee to 55%. The option to buy the 5 or 10% extra is still available. So I hadn't come across that and they're changing that, but on corn you can still just say, well, fine, I'll just plant it to beans. You still got that option.
You do.
But now you're talking about how things stick with you. What about these TA, trend adjustment? That's another interesting thing that agents can do.
Mm-hmm. So really what's happening with trend adjustment is normally we see about a 1 bushel or 1.5 bushel increase in corn yield over time, every year. Well, just think about it for a second. If you're taking your last 10 years of yield and you take the average of it, you're looking back about 5 years. Mm-hmm. And if you have, as we would think with a trend of a 1.5 bushel increase per year, you're insuring less than what you really are expecting. So the trend adjustment just allows you to kind of move that forward by some factor that would say, hey, we're not wanting to take 5 years old average. We want today's average with the technology and the genetics and things that are available today. So it really is helping people to get a higher level of insurance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, just little bitty things like that. If you stop and you ask your agent questions, not like, well, just give me something and I'm going to sign this and then I'm going to go out and check cows.
Right.
You know, or I'm going to go knife anhydrous, or, you know, I got to put, you know, whatever. We just got stuff to do. We actually need to sit and look at these things.
You know people like that?
Well, we got to go, Randy.
Gotta go.
We got to go.
I know.
And it's like, oh, and then, well, what killed me was when you had people with a 30-some bushel APH in 2015 and they had 70% coverage, they were looking at something like $100 prevent plant payment. And if they planted their soybeans and we figured it out, it was going to come out where they might make $100 either way, you know?
Right.
And it was like, it was, you know, darned if they don't, danged if they do. There was no good answer at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, some of them kept planting into July and some of them said, hang on.
Mm-hmm.
But, well, we're going to come back with what do we have? A Focus on a Farmer.
We do. We got Focus on the Farmer. We're talking with Ray Massey.
And you'll have your Bible verse.
We'll have the Bible verse at the end. So we'll be back with more Bull Sessions on 680 KFEQ.